Live from Hollywood, California, it's The Rick Savage Show.
See, I'm dancing right now, but you only know that if you're watching the video version of this podcast, which exists in some form. It's not going to be the full video, but it exists. So if you go to my YouTube channel, if you go to my Instagram or my Twitter or anything, it's all at Rick Savage. You could click and find, and you can see the little setup I have here. Since the last time we did video, I adjusted the microphone because the mic stand was kind of in my face last time. It's all a process, kids. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on. Hey, it's the end of the year. You made it. Congratulations. Hopefully this is, maybe you're already done with work, or this is at least your last week of work. That would be nice. You can check out after this. A much needed vacation, they always say, right? Living the dream, they always say. Take a couple weeks off. Go somewhere. Go somewhere nice. Buy something for the family. You know, buy something for your friends. You'll get a nice gift. That's part of the holidays. Since we last spoke, many things have happened. But the one I'm going to jump into at the beginning is very interesting. I don't know how to say this because it's about a delicate issue, but I kind of went viral, quote unquote, which is really embarrassing to say. It shouldn't be, but let me just tell you the story. So, I'm a big Saturday Night Live fan. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know that because we went to a taping and then I think I talked about it for like the next 4 episodes. Big fan. And there's so many things to talk about from this week's episode of Saturday Night Live. There's a random Weezer sketch, which it was an argument I've absolutely had in real life with people about whether or not Weezer was good after their first 2 albums. I have no idea why that became a sketch. Someone tweeted, "This must have been an argument in the writer's room, and someone else was writing it down and how absurd it was, and then they turned it into a sketch." For a small group of people, that sketch was brilliant. For everyone else, I mean, I guess this is why Saturday Night Live is so good. It's the subtleties. So this sketch was Leslie Jones and Matt Damon arguing over whether or not Weezer was any good after the first 2 albums. Leslie Jones was like the hardcore Weezer fan, chilling like the first 2 albums. Matt Damon was like a little more mainstream. He liked everything else after. And then everyone else sitting at the dining room table kept commenting on, "Are you guys really arguing over Weezer albums?" Which I guess was probably 80% of the audience. But that was a great sketch. You should definitely go back and watch that. Matt Damon's monologue was incredible. I'm going to play a clip of that in a minute. I don't ever remember, and I've watched SNL since probably in grade school without even really knowing what I was watching, but I don't remember a monologue being as sentimental as that one that wasn't like right after 9/11 or after... Remember when Trump got elected and Kate McKinnon as Hillary sang Hallelujah? Looking back, a little much, but I really enjoyed it at the time. So this monologue, Matt Damon came out and he talked about, his personal connection to the show, which was very sweet. And I'll play a clip in a second. But the big thing for me and my close group of friends was that the day before the show, or I think the day of, it doesn't matter, Pete Davidson, cast member, former fiance to Ariana Grande, wonderful stand-up comedian, posted a message on Instagram that was a little troubling. He mentioned that he's been trying to hold on and doesn't want to be here anymore. And I'm sorry. It felt felt suicidal. So that sucks. And then he deleted his Instagram, and then a lot of people were trying to get a hold of him and they couldn't track him down and didn't know where he was. Well, they ended up finding him, and I don't know any of the behind the scenes conversations, but he ended up going to SNL that night. which is great because he could be around people that love him. And he wasn't in any sketches, and he wasn't in the goodbyes at the end of the night, but he did come out and introduce Miley Cyrus and Mark Ronson for their second song, which, who knows? I don't know whose idea that was, but I think that was probably a little subtle, like, hey, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm not doing so good, but I'm here. And it was kind of a sweet moment. I think a lot of us that are like Pete Davidson fans thought that was a nice little thing, you know. And all he did was say, you know, once again, Miley Cyrus or whatever. So I tweeted about that moment because it was pretty sweet, right? And so all I said was I grabbed a photo of him on screen doing the intro. I'll show the camera. See, video podcast. I don't even know if I don't know how focusing works. I don't even know if you could see this, but or maybe I'll put it right here next to my face if that didn't work. Or maybe both. Hey, things that don't matter. So I posted this photo of Pete Davidson and just said, my copy was just, "It's good to see you, Pete. #SNL." And the tweet kind of blew up. It started getting like a good amount of retweets at the time. Twitter does these things called Twitter Moments, where they compile a bunch of tweets around a subject that's happening, you know, like a pop culture event or whatever. So first they were doing an SNL Twitter moment, and it was just showing tweets, people talking about the show. And mine got thrown in there. So then it got a couple more retweets and a couple more likes and a couple more responses. And then they did a whole Twitter moment just about Pete popping up on SNL just to do the introduction. And my photo was like the default photo. It said like Pete Davidson, you know, introduces Miley Cyrus, you know, fans on Twitter react or something. And it was the photo I took the TV screen. And then if you clicked on it, you got right to my tweet. And that's when like it exploded. So as of right now, it has 564 retweets. It has 6,488 likes, which is by far the biggest tweet I've ever had. And I think this is interesting. And if you don't, my bad. But it's just interesting to see like how all this stuff breaks down. So right now, as of about 11:30 on Sunday night, it has 1.3 million impressions, which Twitter defines as times people saw this tweet on Twitter. So maybe multiple people saw it more than once, but nonetheless, like 1 million people saw this tweet. Total engagements is just at about 400,000 right now. Oh, it just refreshed. Dude, this is so weird. 400,000 total engagements. So that's someone that stopped and read it, clicked on it, liked it, retweeted it, responded, whatever. 20,000 detail expands. That's people that opened it in a second window. 5,400 people clicked on my profile from it. So that's a huge, well, I'll get to that in a second. And then 1,500 people clicked on the link, which was really just a hashtag. And then 564 retweets, 81 replies. And the replies were really interesting because there was a lot of people replying saying, like, just kind of like me and my friends, like, oh, it was so great to see Pete. He's obviously going through a lot, but it's nice to at least see his face. And then, God, I get it. Like, Twitter is kind of a shitty place sometimes. There was a lot of people just making like really unnecessary comments about like how his face looked, and someone was talking about like his baggy clothes obviously means he's hiding something. I mean, really like reading into this. And Pete always makes fun of his face and how he looks, and he's very self-aware, probably part of his depression. Is this interesting? This might not be interesting at all. I don't know. I think it is. So fuck it. So Pete is very self-aware. And so all these comments about his appearance were like, yeah, that's how he always looks. He knows how he looks. And then it led to about 60 people following me, which is pretty good, I guess. To put this in comparison, I've had a couple tweets that got like around the 300,000 mark of impressions. One was a tweet where the Olympics this year, or the past year's Olympics, allowed figure skaters to skate to songs with lyrics now for the first time ever. It's always been instrumentals. So this year you're allowed to skate to lyrics. And I took a clip of a girl figure skating and then laid Tupac's Hit 'Em Up over it. And I was like, so great. They allow you to skate to lyrics now. That tweet did really well. I was proud of that one. If you know those lyrics, they're insanely explicit. And if you don't, just take my word for it. And then a couple other times, I have a few like famous people that follow me. And I was just having this conversation. I was so early on Twitter that it was back in the days where if you like tweeted something that got a famous person's attention, they like just followed you back, which I don't think people do anymore on Twitter. So every now and then, like a random famous person will like a tweet of mine and then it'll blow up. But the Tupac figure skating was pretty big. And then this would be such another, what do they call it? Rabbit hole, to even explain some of these other tweets and why they did well. But the point being, this was by far the biggest tweet. It's crazy. So there's a lot of people saying like his eyes say it all. What? Like what? Who are you? I just hate this shit. There's a couple like funny jokes in there, like unrelated to Pete, but just making fun of other people's ridiculous comments. And there was definitely some like Ariana fans that found it. Oh man, which that's another conversation that we'll get into right now. So a lot of Ariana fans found this tweet and, like there was one like back and forth argument, like 20 tweets back and forth about, you know, one person was saying like Ariana never should have got involved with someone this soon, and what she did to Pete was unfair. And then it was ridiculous. But it reminded me of this culture that happens in music that I don't know if it really happens anywhere else. It happens especially in music. A little bit in the like Paris Hilton type fandom. It's this expression called stan, which comes from, I'm trying to say this with a straight face, which comes from the Eminem song Stan, which was all about an obsessive fan that went over the top and took everything Eminem said literally and wrote him letters and tried to emulate things Eminem was saying in his lyrics. So that now has spiraled into these like self-proclaimed stans, and they're very proud of this. And a lot of these Ariana fans got into my mentions, and their Twitter accounts are just Ariana's face. They're not using their own face. It's not like my Twitter account is Rick Savage. You can go there and you know it's me. And sometimes I reveal too much information. You could probably figure out where I live or where I'm having lunch. Not safe. Sorry, Mom. But a lot of these Twitter accounts, these stan accounts, are anonymous. So there was all that stuff going back and forth. And it reminded me of, I've had this same argument a million times around hip hop stan culture and how hip hop fans look the other way for really horrendous behavior. I mean, I've obviously talked about Chris Brown on this podcast, which I don't want to say his name, but I want to get my friend on this podcast that is like very well known and very connected in the hip hop community to like get his point of view on that. But also you could burn bridges these days if you say something bad about Chris Brown. Anyways, there's this guy named Kodak Black. He's a rapper. He's not a good person, straight up. He's been arrested a gazillion times. He's violated probation a gazillion times. Some like dumb shit, like having a gun or like having an excessive amount of weed or whatever. But then also like some really gnarly shit, like abusive to an ex-girlfriend. I have the whole list here. I'll go through it in a second. But anyways, this dude is not great. He was on Ebro in the Morning, Hot 97. Ebro very respectfully brought up the fact that there's these charges that are lingering against this guy. And Ebro even said, he's like, I understand this is a sensitive issue. And of course, Kodak Black basically was like, you need to change the subject or I'm going to leave. And then Ebro was like, fuck you, leave. Like, I don't give a shit. So I tweeted about that, as one does when they don't have a job. And I said, Kodak Black is a bad dude. He does bad shit. He brags about doing bad shit. Any decent interviewer should ask about it. Old man Ebro even came at it with respect. Fuck this stan culture and celebrating people like this. Hip hop takes an L in this category over and over. Takes an L means a loss. And then I included, which maybe was like a little immature, but I included a full list of all of his charges in the past 3 years. Robbery and kidnapping, October 2015. Charged with marijuana possession. Charged with possession of ammo or weapon. Arrested on warrants. Sentenced to house arrest. Detained on new warrants. Sentenced in a county case. Extradited to South Carolina. This is all 2015 and 2016. Freed on bond, December 2016. By February 2017, violated house arrest. Then October 2017, indicted for first-degree criminal sexual assault. Not good stuff. Ordered to pay child support. Of course, he's not paying his child support. Then he was arrested for weapon possession and also neglect of child. That's January 2018. Then 3 charges were dismissed in February 2018. And then he was sentenced to 1 year in jail, April 2018. And now he's out early. So God forbid Ebro have the audacity to ask this guy a question. Anyways, so I tweeted about it, basically saying, fuck this guy, fuck this culture. And then every reply I got, I mean, the first 2 were kind of funny. My name's Rick Savage. In my bio, it says Fred Savage is not my cousin. The first response was, shut the fuck up, Fred. All right. Good for you. Second response, you are verified and got 1 like on this. Terrible fucking take. You suck. By the way, I got way more likes since then, bro. But both of these are fake names and fake profiles, randomly anime photos. Okay, read into that if you want to. Then someone said, LOL, how can you be so passionate about slandering a person you don't really know? One marijuana charge, one gun charge because you're a famous rapper now and people want to rob you. Those things happen. Let it slide. Child neglect, first degree sexual assault. No, you're a bad person. And then someone said, respect. It's an open case, and Ebro said it himself that we can't talk about it, but hopefully next time. There's no question. There's no response. All he was doing was baiting. At least that was from a real person, Christian. At least that you're a real person with a name and a face. I don't necessarily agree with your response, but that's okay. Kodak Black is just one example. What's that guy? XXX Extension, who got shot and killed, who was a terrible, bad dude. So much so that a lot of publications wouldn't cover him and wouldn't talk about him because of, kidnapping charges and like violent abuse against ex-girlfriends. But then when he died, everyone covered it. Everyone wanted to get those sales and those streams when he died. But if you tweeted something bad about him, forget it. Your mentions would explode. I get it. Like, they're kids. I'm probably arguing with a 13-year-old about whether or not Kodak Black is a good guy. I understand how juvenile that is. But man, there's something, this like obsessive stan stalker culture that I'm pretty sure only happens in music. I hope kids grow out of it. It started with like the Beliebers. Look, there was always crazy fans. You can watch footage of the Beatles after they played Ed Sullivan and then getting mobbed at every airport and like girls passing out. And there's always been that. New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney. I get it. But I don't know. Once they started getting names, once Justin Bieber had the Beliebers, and then it just spiraled out. I don't know. It feels weird, man. So the Arianas came to say hi when I tweeted about Pete. I hope Pete's okay. He was supposed to do a show here in like a week. right before Christmas, but that got canceled. I hope he's okay. But it's very interesting. You know what's funny? I mean, I just try to be honest on this podcast. The girlfriend and I were watching a documentary on Netflix called The American Meme. It's incredible. I didn't really want to watch it because I thought I would be hate watching it, and I don't like doing that. It gives me anxiety. But it covers Paris Hilton, the fat Jewish, who's a very popular guy on Instagram. It covers this guy Kirill, who kind of became famous for taking pretty explicit photos at club parties and stuff. It follows them throughout their journey, and Kirill is the one that I think is pretty honest about it. And he's just like, yeah, sometimes I feel dead inside, and this is my life. And I used to be kind of a respected photographer, and now this is where I'm at. But it's just funny. Like, I'm watching this documentary, and then I'm checking my phone to see if I've hit 500,000 impressions yet from this Pete Davidson tweet. 750,000. Oh, 1 million. It's a weird time. It's a weird world we live in. Sorry if you can hear this noise. I'm playing with a little card. But when all this is happening, I see this Vitamin Water has a new campaign that'll give you $100,000 if you give up your smartphone for a year. And as I see all of this shit is happening, and then I see that and I go like, I'm down, I think. Take the smartphone. I even went to their website and like read the terms and conditions and stuff. And you can have a flip phone. They give you like an old what were those, like Motorola Star Techs, whatever, like the old silver, like the Tony Soprano phone, like the flip phone. They give you one of those so you can still stay in touch, and you can use a laptop computer. And they want to pick someone that'll do something interesting over the air. And I was like, I got nothing but time. So I'm going to come up with an idea. I'm going to pitch it to Vitamin Water, and maybe they'll give me $100,000 to give up my iPhone for a year, which right now feels kind of nice. I wouldn't hate that idea. Wow, we went on some tangents there, guys, but that's just how we're going to end the year. We're going to end the year with some random conversations. You know, I haven't really spent too much time talking about my new life without a job. I think a decent amount of you know that I quit my job about a month ago. Been saving money for a long time. So I'm okay in that department. If you're a family member and you're worried, don't be. Besides that, I still think someday I'll do a whole episode about it, but I just needed to take a step back. I just got so burnt out. If you didn't know, I used to work in social media. So back to this whole conversation about chasing likes and retweets and link clicks and tracking this and that and having to drop everything when an artist put out an album. And it got too much. So I had to take a step back and I had to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. So I'm trying to take this little bit of time and be super creative. And so that's why, like, there's a video podcast now, or one day I'll wake up and I'll drive to look for the pothole in Burbank from the Domino's commercial. That video is up on my YouTube now. If you haven't watched it, it's ridiculous. I've been writing. I have a couple silly ideas that I'm trying to put down on paper. I don't know what they're going to become. Podcast, sell as a script. I mean, whatever. I hate people that talk like this. My point is I'm trying to get more and more creative, whatever that means. And so, I think a lot of people have had this fantasy of trying to do stand-up. So I've been trying to do that on and off for probably 2 years now. And let me tell you, when I say going to an open mic is a very painful experience. It's usually a dark, smelly room. It's usually got one microphone and a small speaker and one light, and anywhere between 3 and 20 people that are really just other comedians that don't want to hear anything you have to say and just sit arms crossed with a straight face. It's not the best, but that's okay. I feel like if you can make someone in that room laugh, then you could definitely make a crowd of people laugh that actually want to laugh. So recently I went to another open mic, like just a couple days ago, actually. And just two quick things. One, A lot of these open mics, you just put your name in a bucket and they pull it out and maybe you go up and maybe you don't. And it just dragged on. I waited 2.5 hours to go up for 4 minutes. And I think the host kept bringing up his friends, which is kind of shitty and like, don't do that, but okay, whatever. The guy, just so you know, the person I went on after was a gentleman with, I would say he's probably 70 years old. He's got long, like Willie Nelson style gray ponytail in the back, nothing on top. And he had a guitar, so you know that's going to be good. He sang Smells Like Teen Spirit, the Nirvana classic, except as a cow and as a chicken. So he was mooing and balking Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I'm not going to do it because that would be embarrassing, and I'm not going to put that on any recorded form. But that's what I went up after. And I did okay. And I got a couple laughs. And I was like, all right, if you assholes laughed after 2.5 hours, then maybe something in here is decent. But that's part of the process. So then later on that night, I got home and I was like, oh, something called the Hollywood Open Mic followed me. Great. I'm blowing up then. I must be blowing up on Instagram if something called the Hollywood Open Mic followed me. Maybe they want me to come perform at their open mic. Maybe they want me to host a night. Who knows? So I look and it's like LA's largest open mic, music, poetry, dance, comedy, first Tuesday of every month, a night of epic entertainment. It's got like 3,000 followers. The photos are beautiful. Like they're really high quality. It's all like very clean. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that'll like come into focus, but like, it's just a great Instagram. And I was like, oh, this must be like a legit operation. There's an Eventbrite. That's what it's called, right? An Eventbrite link in their bio for the next one. And I was like, I got to check this out. Okay. Click on that. A Hollywood Open Mic. Okay. View details. Okay. Tuesday, December 4th. I mean, I guess this is a little outdated now. Okay. 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Nice 4-hour window for you to get up on stage and do your thing for a couple minutes. Location, 5930 Franklin Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Franklin Avenue. Oh, that's over by the UCB Theater. Church of Scientology Celebrity Center. Introducing LA's largest open mic and networking event. Here you can show off your talent, one of LA's most beautiful stages. Network with inspirational people and fellow artists. Drug-free, alcohol-free event, including marijuana. Oh, we know how the Scientologists get down. We know it's drug-free and alcohol-free. And then there's information on how to go. I did not sign up for this open mic. I was rather disappointed that it's a Scientology scam. Do you think they give you like an e-meter test afterwards? How do you think that works? How do you think they suck you into the cult? I don't know. I was so excited too. I was like, this looks like a legit, nope, Scientologists. Let me play something for you. I'm going to play something for you. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to end the year strong.
What a fucking savage! I'm a savage. I'm a savage. I'm a savage. Savage with a cold savage.
They like savage, why you got a 12-car garage and you only got 6 cars?
Something about you turns me to a savage.
The Savage of the Week. Last one of the year. It's got to be a good one. You know what I mean? It is a good one. And we mentioned it earlier, but I think Matt Damon is kind of our Savage of the Week. And it's because he kind of made me cry during the monologue of SNL. Not like really cry. I'm a strong man.
But it really does mean a lot to me to be here tonight. Growing up, my brother and I would go to my dad's house every other weekend, and he told us that if we could stay up until 1 a.m., we could watch Saturday Night Live. So week after week, I tried to stay up, and it wasn't until I was 8 years old that I made it all the way to the end. And I probably didn't get all the jokes, but I laughed at everything that my dad laughed at. And although it was way past our bedtime, my dad knew that there was nothing more important in the world than to laugh with the people that you love. So my father passed away a year ago yesterday. And tonight, my big brother is in Boston right now watching with his 2 boys. And all my kids are here, including my youngest, who happens to be 8 years old. So my wife and I told her that she can stay up all the way to 1 a.m. and she can watch Saturday Night Live. And she said, "Who's hosting?" And I said, "Me, your dad, Matt Damon." And she said, "Who's the musical guest?" Now, because this is the last SNL of the year, I just wanted to propose a toast to everyone out there watching. Here's to closing out the year and to an even brighter year ahead. But mostly, here's to all the moms and dads who let their kids stay up too late for all the right reasons. Cheers. Now, we got a great show for you tonight. Miley Cyrus and Mark Ronson are here, so stick around. We'll be right back.
I mean, how good is that?
What a fucking savage!
Thanks, Matt Damon. I connected to that. Maybe you did too. I have very fond memories of, I watched SNL really early on. I remember sneaking down back when Johnny Carson was on the air and my parents would be watching it. And I remember like sneaking down the stairs and kind of hiding in the kitchen to like see Johnny Carson over their shoulders. And they probably knew I was there. They probably didn't care, but whatever. And I have very fond memories of watching Showtime of the Apollo with my dad back when Steve Harvey was the host. And that used to come on at like 1 a.m., but we'd still watch it, and it was great. So I love that. I thought that was so sweet. What, Matt Damon's going to come out and do some bullshit jokes about Trump? Like, whatever. You can do that later on in the show. I thought that was a nice way to start the show and end 2018. And I think that's a good way to end the show now, too. So I hope you had a okay 2018. It was a very weird year. I have a feeling things are going to get better. I did have the conversation the other day that... even if Trump doesn't get impeached, he's definitely going to jail someday. So that's going to be nice. Might be 2020, might be 2024. Who knows with this country, but someday he's going to be in jail. That'll feel good. All right, let's wrap this up. If you watched this all, great. Thanks for watching it. If you listen to it all, great. Thanks for listening. There's some people that have been very, very sweet about this silly little podcast for the past 6 months or so. So thank you very much, because that means the world. And if you can tell some other people about this podcast so we can keep adding numbers, then we can keep going. And that would be great too. So tell someone, just text someone the link right now. Just grab the link on the podcast and go, hey, this is a pretty good episode. You should listen to this. And then I'm heading to San Diego. I might do a couple interviews while I'm down there for the podcast. If that doesn't happen and that never it comes to fruition on this thing, pretend I didn't say it. But that's my goal. But I think in the new year, I'm going to work on some different ideas for the video and do that a little more. And then definitely some guests, because I think that's probably the next phase of this podcast, is getting a little bit of a conversation going. I'm going to end the show with one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. It might not be the most traditional, but it's a banger. Is that what kids say still? Run DMC, Christmas in Hollis. I really sincerely thank you for listening to this podcast. It's a silly little idea, but shit, people are listening, so we're going to keep doing it, and that's pretty cool. So have a great holiday break, have a great new year, and we'll see you in 2019. Bye on the video. Bye. I can't have the music on the video. I can't.